everyone, welcome back to A Life of KG. I hope you're all enjoying this gorgeous weather we've got in the UK. So today I get the pleasure of interviewing Debbie Lewis. She is just an amazing businesswoman, someone I've looked up to for many years. She was a salon owner. She had 2 branches which she's now sold, which she's going to go into talking about. She also has Salon Angels, which is a recruitment company which is looking to franchise out, and she also works very closely with NatWest, helping their NatWest Entrepreneur Accelerator team. So without further ado, here she is. Hi Debbie, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Hi Katie, thanks for having me.
You are more than welcome. So for those that are listening, can you tell them who you are and what do you do?
Absolutely. My name's Debbie Lewis. I am the founder and managing owner of Salon Angels, an agency that helps with recruitment and events and training, but predominantly coaching for salon owners.
Wow, okay then, so that's interesting. So obviously I opened my salon 10 years ago now, and
congratulations.
Thank you. And I remember when I was kind of obviously seeing who else was around and stuff, your salons kept popping up when you had a salon obviously back in the day, and you was a person that I was always like, wow, she's always so busy, like,
oh thank you.
Salons. And like, it was always your posts and stuff that I always look up to. What kind of, obviously talk to us about obviously your salons, and what kind of made you get into this industry, and just about your journey really.
Crikey, it is a long old story, so I will give you the highlights. I just from a very early age, I was absolutely enthralled by hair, beauty, nails. I was a really girly girl. If it had sparkles on, I wanted it. And really, from as long as I can remember, I wanted to be around beauticians, nail bars, hairdressing salons, and that kind of continued all through my school years, and doing work experience in salons and my first part-time jobs in salons. I knew that was, really what I wanted to do. Unfortunately for my parents, I was also quite academic. I loved school, and I think part of that was we lived in the middle of nowhere. It was like an hour's bus to anything. So going to school for me was really social, and I really enjoyed it. And although naturally I wasn't incredibly smart, I tried very hard, and I did all right. And I still remember to this day my parents being called into the school by the head teacher saying, "We've got a bit of a problem. Debbie wants to be a hairdresser. And really we think she should be doing much more with her life." And I remember just feeling really protective of the decisions that I was making. And we actually came to an agreement that I would continue with my studying, but I would be allowed to qualify in hair and beauty. So kind of from about the age of 13, 14, I was doing full-time study and part-time qualifications. So when everyone else came out of A-levels, I came out with science qualifications, but also hair and beauty qualifications. And that kind of started a trend for being a bit of a workaholic. And then on, I went to university whilst still working 3 jobs. And all the time it was kind of coming back into hair and beauty. I ended up with my degree teaching. So I was teaching hair and beauty as well as science and business. And through that kind of 5 years of university academics, I got to really the top level of running and managing salons. I ran a salon for a lady who was just an investor, and I thrived on it and I loved it. But I also realized I was only 19 and I'd kind of reached the top. So I went away and I did some jobs. I actually worked in Paris for a little while for Sotis, the beauty house.
Yeah.
And I was their national trainer. So I was doing a lot of education related, but still hair and beauty related jobs. And then I just wanted to settle. I wanted to come back home and be around my friends, and decided to open a salon. And so 2003, seems like an incredibly long time ago now. 2 days before Christmas, I took the keys to my first business. We had 3 team members and about a £5 in my bank account after I'd bought it. And I just remember thinking, I have got to make this work or my parents are going to kill me. And the rest, they say, is history. I mean, I could go on for hours about the challenges and the successes and the disasters of salon life. But I had the salon for almost 15 years, grew it from 3 to 43 employees at its peak.
43, that is absolute. How do you manage 43 employees in 2000?
So we had a couple of salons, and we also were running corporate events. So we were sending staff out to office buildings so that they could perform treatments. We also had wedding teams. I mean, it was quite the operation. And it literally took over my life. 14 years, 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. It never stopped.
Wow, that is absolutely mental. I literally got a million questions I could ask you, but like, so what kind of made you decide not to have the salons anymore? Because obviously it was such a huge success.
Yeah, a couple of personal things really. Around the same time, so my now husband then proposed, and I was coming up to turning 40, and I was thinking about, if we were going to have a family, could I continue with this monster of a business? Which, you know, because of the way I was managing it, meant that I was in it 24 hours a day. And I wondered whether or not, you know, that was one consideration. But also my dad had become very involved when I'd had multiple salon sites, and also had opened, so separate to the salons, overlapping that, we'd also started Salon Angels as a recruitment consultancy. And he was helping me run all of these and juggle all of my responsibilities. And he passed away very suddenly. And I think that, coupled with having a bit of a midlife crisis about turning 40 and what I was doing, but also very sadly my manager, who had been with me from kind of almost day one, she decided to retire out of the industry. And I think I just had too many things happen at once. And I just thought, do you know what, now's probably a good time to start a new chapter. And it was actually just a couple of days, or the day after my dad's funeral, I put the salon up for sale. And whilst I don't regret it in any way, because the opportunities that are presenting themselves now, I would never have had I have continued with the kind of all-encompassing hours of the salon business. I still think, had those things not all have occurred at the same time, I may have just been able to take a step back and say, do you know what? I don't need to let the salon go. I just need to do it differently. So no regrets, but I do think these things tend to happen for a reason.
Yeah, definitely. Wow. So tell us like a little bit more about what you do day to day now, because as well as Salon Angels, you also work closely with NatWest, don't you?
Yes, that's right. I'm employed by NatWest as part of their Entrepreneur Accelerator Hub in central Milton Keynes. So we do this pretty much the same daily activities as we do at Salon Angels. So it's predominantly coaching. We run events, workshops, networking. So all of the same things that we do at Salon Angels, but Salon Angels is specific to the hair and beauty industry. So spa, hair, beauty, aesthetics, nails, holistics. But at the NatWest Centre, it's sector agnostic. So on any one day, I could be coaching a dog walker to a NASA consultant. So it's incredible.
Yeah, wow. I'd love to do that job.
Yeah, I do feel blessed, and working for an enormous organisation like NatWest, it brings a different angle, because throughout my career I never worked for a corporate, so I'm learning new skills and finding new things out, and the opportunities that position presents are great. But also I'm able to learn about new areas, so franchising I'd never considered before, investment, getting somebody else with money to pay instead of getting into debt or trying to scrimp and save to get it yourself. All of these things I wish I'd known about when I was in business. I'm only just discovering now. So this is really helping us to advise salon owners at Salon Angels, but also we deal with up to 100 entrepreneurs over a 6-month period. Every 6 months we have reapplications and new intakes. So many people that we're able to help and support to get through either starting up their business or scaling up and coming into a new arena within their existing business. So we really are, so lucky. It's such an awesome job.
Yeah, so cool. I mean, I read in your bio as well that obviously you're looking to possibly franchise Salon Angels, and obviously before you done this job, franchising wasn't really what you thought about. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've realized that over the years of helping other salon professionals, quite often they have the passion and the skill, but they don't really know what to do with it. And I think, and I know, Katie, this is your background as well, franchises. Actually, if you can help somebody with more than just a little bit of coaching, so you are giving them everything, the business in a box that they can go on as a proven model and show is successful. It just helps get some people into business that would otherwise be too nervous or reluctant, or they couldn't raise the finance on their own. So really looking forward to rolling out the recruitment and the networking and the events nationally for next year.
Well, that's really exciting. And actually, you put on a point about the investing and stuff. That's always something I've never ever really looked into. But I think a lot of, tell me if I'm wrong, but a lot of the big companies or people that get big quite fast, they've all got investors behind them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you would not believe the businesses that investors put their money into, and also the amounts of money. So I guess having the salon for 15 years, whenever we wanted a refurbishment or I mean, for example, we had a flood and it cost us £30,000. Luckily, that was insured, but we'd had to borrow the money initially to be able to do it up the first time round.
Yeah.
And had I have known back then, had I have understood how investment works, who knows, I could have found an investor who not only would give me the money at a fantastic rate, but also that I could have really learned valuable skills regarding business and investment and finances from, that could have made my journey a little bit quicker than the long route that it took to success.
Yeah, definitely. So interesting.
Mm.
So if you could give anyone advice starting out now, obviously because you speak to entrepreneurs day in, day out, what would that be?
I think probably for our industry, that the advice that I give out the most often is stop for a moment and consider what you want at the end. It's what we call back casting. So what do you want finally? How do you want to exit this business? How long do you want to stay in it? What do you want your team to look like? What will the culture be like? It's very much about envisioning and really visualizing the success. And you can't get there if you don't have a clear vision, a clear goal. Most people are just interested in what's next. What do I do first? How do I fix this one problem? And actually, you've got to start with the end in mind, because everything you do, as long as you're pointing towards that vision, will all be aligned and everything will be so much easier and clearer. But also to support the support that you can have access to. So often we just talk to our immediate family and our immediate friendship groups. And often it's a bit like we call it the ugly baby. If you have a baby and it's really ugly, none of your friends are going to tell you. They're all going to say it's beautiful. So when you have an ugly baby business, when you've got a business that's a rubbish idea, your nearest and dearest are going to tell you it's a great idea. So actually, by surrounding yourself with people who can give you solid advice and impartial advice, you will do so much better. So get a great network and think about the end goal for when you get started. They'd be my top tips.
Brilliant, brilliant. So I mentor a lot of salon owners at the moment because I do my one-to-one mentoring, and
Yep.
I'm sure because you deal with a lot of salon owners as well, hear the same thing, that a lot of them feel stuck in their salon and don't know what direction to take or how to get out, or just mainly they're just completely stuck. A lot of the time I think I'd say, why are you stuck in a 9 to 5 in your own business?
Yeah.
And they need to know what kind of direction to take. What would your advice be on that?
It's really easy to let your business control you. And actually, I was very guilty of this when I was in the salon. Now, I used to hear a lot, I can't let my clients go, I can't pass them over. So it wasn't leaving the salon, it was stepping away from the shop floor. And actually, if you've got the right team in place, and you've got a clear vision about what you want, you will always find a way to make it work. But more often than not, I think the issue lies because of personal blockers. Either that imposter syndrome, you don't feel like this is really a business, it's just your little hobby. or it will be fear of failure. It's that kind of, but what if I do this and it all goes wrong? And part of that is about having access to great data, particularly financial data, so that you can adjust your course of action as you go. It's not about making whopping decisions and then never being able to go back. It's about, try something. Does it work? If it does, keep going. If it doesn't work, how can we change that? So that any impact is minimal and you feel in control of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good advice. It's definitely something I hear from most salon owners.
Yeah, for sure.
So what would you say are the top 3 people that you look up to, if that's personal or business?
I would say that the people that inspired me when I was in the salon are probably really different to the people who inspire me and I look up to now. I would say for any salon owner who is either starting out or trying to grow, following successful, I always mention female entrepreneurs, and actually I'm not one of those female mumpreneur passionate people. I think men are as valuable in our industry as women are, but actually my inspirations are female. I think Mary Portas, Queen of the High Street, she's still writing books, still guiding women leaders now. I love her. I love reading her stories. Following the likes of Anita Roddick from The Body Shop and Jacqueline Gold, who set up Ann Summers, all of those women who came from nothing against adversity through really difficult times, reading their bios and following them on social media is really powerful. But for me now personally, I have to, it's so cheesy, but my tribe, the women I surround myself with, they are so inspirational, and that tribe is growing every month. Just this week I met a lady called Salon Lloyd. She runs Naturally Tribal Skincare, and how she came from finding these women who grew shea butter trees and now has a QVC product that she sells, and she's doing so incredibly well, and all these women who came from nothing, and I guess that's because that resonates with me. So all of those people and millions more.
Yeah, it's quite hard to narrow it down to 3 people, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Back in the old days, it would have been Margaret Thatcher, Madonna, and someone else super cheesy.
Beyonce or something.
Yeah, that's it. Girl power.
So obviously you've got so much going on. What are kind of your plans and your goals for this following year coming?
So personal goals, myself and my husband are actually looking at fostering children in the next year.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah, so quite a departure from what I'm doing work-wise. We've just finished renovating a property, so looking forward to having a bit of downtime where we're not quite so on the go. Mm-hmm. But obviously the franchise of Salon Angels on the cards, and I've just started writing a book as well.
Oh wow! Are you allowed to tell us more about the book? What's that going to be about?
Yeah, the first chapter, or the first issue that we're releasing will be a kind of business startup guide for the salon industry. So watch this space.
Wow, that's so exciting. So it's always been my goal to write a book, but more I don't know who I think I am, but more of an autobiography.
Do it. And you know what, that's actually, I would love to do that, because like you said earlier, you could ask questions for days, and there's so many stories. I mean, the horror stories I could tell you from the salon, you wouldn't believe that they are true, some of them, but I would love to write an autobiography just to share some of these experiences so that other salon owners don't feel like they're going it alone, because some of them are just terrifying experiences.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I know, definitely. So it's been such a pleasure having you on, Debbie. Where can people find you online?
So pretty much if you search Salon Angels Milton Keynes, you will find us. We are across all of the social platforms. Myself personally, I do a lot of posting on LinkedIn, so Debbie Lewis, and all of my personal socials are Mrs. D. Lewis.
Perfect. Well, I know it's a short and sweet podcast, but I actually think I'd love to have you on again to concentrate on maybe a topic.
Oh, thank you.
That'd be so good. But thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me, and good luck with your next endeavours.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Katie.